Hi dudes, Climax 4 explain here. Today I will demonstrate to you a 2004 American romantic comedy film called The Prince and Me. The movie starts with a girl called Paige Morgan who is in a laboratory. Paige obtained a simple but meaningful farewell surprise from her co-workers because it was her last day of internship there. Paige then returned to the campus dormitory and was thrilled to be reunited with her roommate. In second part of the world, in Denmark to be exact, a prince named Edvard is seen participating in a wild race. Edvard is very popular and loved by women because of his good looks. Edvard is also well known as a playboy and does not care much about his status as the heir to the throne who will succeed his father, King Harald, as King of Denmark, even though his parents were always worried about him, especially when Edvard always tried to ignore his duties as a member of the royal family. When in an insignificant meeting with members of the royal family and government officials, Edvard, feeling bored, did not pay attention to the issues being examined in the meeting and rather drew a car on his book. King Harald then asked Edvard something about the matter. But because Edvard didn't really listen to anything in the meeting, he asked his father back. After the meeting, Edvard watches television and accidentally sees a television commercial exhibiting Wisconsin co-eds flashing their breasts, which intrigues the prince. Edvard then expressed his desire to attend college in America, specifically Wisconsin, to his parents. Nonetheless, his mother, Queen Rosalind, instantly opposed her son's wishes because Edvard always acted as he pleased and did not care about the royal family's reputation, which was often the subject of media scrutiny because of his behavior. Because Edvard insisted, King Harald and Queen Rosalind eventually obeyed their son's wishes and sent a male servant named Soren to look after and accompany Edvard during his stay in the United States. Edvard ultimately arrived in the United States and attended college at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Edvard then asked Soren not to address him as Prince or His Majesty because he wanted to hide his true identity. He then changed his name to Eddie. In the campus dormitory, Eddie and Soren seem surprised by the dirty and messy state of the room, where he also has to share a room with a young man called Scotty who likes to play games. Eddie and Soren then went to a bar, not far from campus, where Paige worked part-time as a bartender. Since their first meeting, Eddie had been interested in Paige and tried to know her. Thinking that Paige was a girl who was easily fascinated by men's persuasion, Eddie tried to approach her and asked her to take off her shirt, as he saw on television some time ago. Unexpectedly, this makes Paige very angry and drenches Eddie with the drinking hose, then orders the security officers to kick him out of the bar. The next day, when Paige and her classmates were taking a chemistry class in the laboratory, Eddie then entered the lab room, intending to follow the lesson accompanied by Soren. Eddie instantly ordered Soren out and sat down next to Paige, not wanting to reveal his true identity. He then apologized for being rude to her last night. But later, Paige is annoyed when they are assigned as regular lab partners for chemistry class. After class, Paige then tells Eddie that chemistry is an insignificant subject for her because she intends to continue her education to major in medicine, and if she fails this year, then she will lose her chance. Therefore, Paige asked Eddie to be significant in the lesson. Eddie then agreed. Nonetheless, in reality, Eddie was lazy and one day, he did not attend the chemistry class at all, thus making Paige have to do everything alone, and she failed. An annoyed Paige then went to Eddie's room and found that he had just woken up and Soren was preparing breakfast for him. Paige then assumes that Eddie is the son of a rich person who is very spoiled and warns him to be more significant in chemistry class because she doesn't want to fail again. Soren then tells Eddie that their money has run out, so Eddie decides to apply for a part-time job at the deli section of the bar, where Paige works as a bartender. Paige's boss then asked her to help and guide Eddie on his first day on the job because Eddie said that Paige had proposed him. Even though Eddie made many mistakes in his first days working at the bar, Paige acknowledged his hard work and dedication and praised him. Eddie, flattered by Paige's compliment, asked her to date him. But Paige declined and reasoned that she was very busy. Meanwhile, at the Danish royal palace, Edvard's younger sister, Arabella, overhears the conversation of her parents and the royal doctor talking with King Harald's illness. Arabella, worried about her father's health condition, entered the room and asked how he was. Nonetheless, King Harald reassured his daughter that he was fine and only had a mild cold. Meanwhile, in the United States, Paige does well in science, but she struggles in English literature class. Therefore, Eddie attempted to help her better understand William Shakespeare using his earlier education. It seemed to work, and Paige managed to get a good score on the English literature test on William Shakespeare and show it to Eddie. Paige was also very thankful to Eddie for being willing to help her. Shortly afterward, Paige then invited Eddie to celebrate Thanksgiving and take a vacation to her parents' dairy farm. Eddie accepts her invitation and decides to go there alone without Soren's company. Arriving there, the Morgan family appeared to welcome Eddie's arrival. Paige's father later explains how he struggles to keep the small farm afloat. He then asked Eddie to help him on the farm, encompassing milking and cleaning the stables. After that, Eddie enjoyed lunch with Paige and her family, where he felt a warm family atmosphere, and they loved each other even though they lived in simplicity. Eddie uses his mechanical skills to fine-tune a riding mower for a race, which he wins. One of the young men participating in the race could not submit defeat and then punched Eddie. Seeing this, Paige's brothers then helped Eddie and they got into a fight. That night, Paige treats the bruises on Eddie's face and they kiss for the first time. The holidays were over, and they both returned to campus. As time goes by, Paige and Eddie's relationship seems to be getting closer and they are also more focused on researching for the upcoming exams. One day, Paige takes Eddie to study in the library, and they sneak off the library stacks to pursue a romantic encounter, where they kiss and take off the jacket and shirt. Members of the Danish tabloid press shortly ambush them. Eddie and Paige then ran away from the paparazzi who took pictures of them making out and called Eddie Prince Edward. Paige then asked why the paparazzi called him a prince and Eddie admitted that he was indeed a prince from Denmark. Paige, who finally found out about this fact, felt angry and disgruntled because Eddie had been lying to her all this time. News of Eddie's romantic encounter with Paige was made known to King Harold and Queen Rosalind. Promptly after, Eddie obtained a call from his mother that his father was seriously ill and asked him to return to Denmark instantly. Paige then took an interview to enter college, where she was asked to explain about Shakespeare's works. However, she instantly realized that she really loved Eddie and decided to fight for her love for the prince. She went to Eddie's room and learned that he had gone to Denmark but had left her a letter. Paige returned to her room and rushed to pack her clothes to follow Eddie to Denmark. She didn't realize that she had received a letter notifying her that she had been accepted into the medical school she had always dreamed of. With the help of her friends, Paige ultimately managed to buy a plane ticket to Denmark. Paige's journey was hampered by arriving in Copenhagen because a royal parade led to the royal palace. Paige got out of the taxi and decided to walk. She blended into the crowd and saw Eddie riding a horse. She then called for Eddie, but he didn't hear her. Afterwards, people watching the parade noticed Paige's presence and recognized her from the tabloids. When people began shouting Paige Morgan's name, Eddie noticed Paige's presence in the crowd and rushed over to her. Eddie then asked Paige to mount his horse and jointly, they rushed to the Parliament building, where Eddie had been scheduled to open the parliamentary meeting that day. After that, they hurried to the royal palace and Eddie asked Soren to take Paige to the guest room so she could rest after a long journey. Meanwhile, Eddie tries to tell his parents that he is in love with Paige and aims at to marry her. But Queen Rosalind openly refuses Eddie's wish because Paige is just an ordinary girl, not royalty, and the Queen thinks that Paige is a selfish and materialistic girl. Suddenly, King Harold even approved if Eddie did intend to marry Paige out of love. Eddie then met Paige and explained the reason for his return to Denmark. His father was very sick, so he would soon be crowned the new king in place of his father. After that, Eddie kneels before Paige and asks her to marry him, which she accepts. The following day, Paige woke up and was greeted by the royal servants who would attend to all her needs. Arabella then went to Paige's room, hugged her tightly and seemed pleased with her presence in the palace. After that, Soren came there and told Paige all the activities that must be done while being a guest of honor at the palace and the manners of an ethical noble that she had to learn quickly. Soren then calls the royal designer who will prepare all the clothes that Paige will wear while in the palace and while attending important meetings with members of the royal family and government officials. Afterward, Paige attended Eddie to a banquet with the ambassadors. But Queen Rosalind still seemed displeased with Paige's presence in the palace. During a visit to a hospital, Paige was caught on camera by reporters entertaining children with cancer, even though the activity was not included in the list. Queen Rosalind then reprimanded Paige for disobeying the royal protocol that had been set for her. The queen said that being a noble is not like being a celebrity or a rich person who can act as she pleases. Also, Paige is a prince's fiancée and future queen of Denmark. So she had to be graceful and be an example to all the people. One day, Paige attended the queen to monitor a meeting led by Eddie. The meeting lasted for hours, but government officials have not been able to find the right explanation to overcome the economic problems facing Denmark. Eddie then remembered what Paige's father said about his difficulties in dealing with financial problems and some of the solutions he did that proved to be able to make him bounce back from adversity. Eddie plans to implement this in his country to solve their troubles, and it seems that the prince's idea was welcomed by everyone who attended the meeting. After that, Queen Rosalind called Paige to come to see her and said that she saw a change in Eddie when he chaired the meeting, which she thought Eddie had become more mature and more accountable. Queen Rosalind thought that Eddie's change was due to his meeting with Paige. Because Paige can have a good influence on Eddie, the queen then approves of their love affair and starts to accept Paige's presence as a royal family member. In fact, the queen took Paige to a special room where all the royal jewelry was stored, and Paige was asked to choose the jewelry she wanted to wear at the coronation ball. Paige looked so gorgeous and graceful at Eddie's coronation ball. Eddie then asked her to dance and led her into a room, where they kissed. Afterward, Soren seems and tells Eddie that his father asked him to attend an important meeting with representatives from the Kingdom of Norway. After Eddie went to see his father, Paige then reflected and recalled her dream to become a doctor and travel the world to help people who desperately want treatment but have no money. Because of that, Paige decided to end her engagement with Eddie, even though it was very painful for her and Eddie. After the coronation of Prince Edward as the new King of Denmark, Paige then rushed back to the United States to continue her education and realize her dreams. A few years later, Paige ultimately graduated from college and intended to start a new life by becoming a doctor in the third world countries as she had always wanted. Eddie then comes to see Paige and congratulates her on her graduation. He tells Paige that she is his choice, and Eddie is willing to wait for her to accept his proposal at any time because marrying Paige is his dream. The film ends with Paige looking sad and smiling cheerfully after knowing that Eddie really loves her and she loves Eddie very much. And that's it. If you are a lover of similar content like this, take a look at my distinct videos, and if you love it, please break the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification horn. Catch sight of you in the successive video.